The Akatsuki, a name whispered in fear across the entire ninja world. Cloaked in black robes marked with red clouds, they stood as shadows of a broken world, a symbol of pain, loss, and dreams corrupted by war. But behind those cloaks were not mere villains. Each member carried a story, a reason for their madness, a wound that never healed, and a dream that twisted into darkness. In this video, I will show you the story behind Akatsuki, and the lore of each of its members. It all started in the midst of endless war. In the rain-soaked land of Amigekure, 3 children, Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan, wandered through the ruins of battlefields, orphaned by the cruelty of shinobi nations. They met Jiraiya, a man who became their mentor and father figure. Under his guidance, they learned ninjutsu, survival, and hope. Driven by Yahiko's unbreakable spirit, they created the first Akatsuki, a group that sought peace through understanding and unity. But that peace was never meant to last. Manipulated by the warlord Hanzo and betrayed by the very system they tried to change, Yahiko sacrificed himself to protect his friends. That single moment shattered Nagato's heart and gave birth to Pain, the man who would reshape the Akatsuki into a force of fear. Pain, Nagato, wielder of the Rinnegan, believed that the only way to achieve peace was through shared suffering. He created the 6 paths of pain, 6 corpses controlled by his chakra, through which he ruled as a god over Amigekure. To him, pain was justice. Pain was balance. By making the world suffer as he had, humanity would finally understand the value of peace. His vision was cruel but sincere, born from trauma, not malice. When Pain destroyed the Leaf Village, he wasn't acting out of hatred, but conviction. He truly believed he was saving the world, even if it meant becoming its enemy. Konan. By his side stood Konan, the only woman of the original Akatsuki and the last remaining light in Nagato's heart. Using her paper jutsu, she could turn herself into thousands of sheets, sharp as blades or delicate as feathers. To her people, she was the angel, a divine protector who brought peace to Amigekure in the name of Yahiko's dream. Even after Nagato's death, Konan refused to surrender to evil. When Obito Uchiha came to claim the Rinnegan, she fought him with everything she had, creating a sea of 6 billion paper bombs to destroy him. Her sacrifice was the last breath of the true Akatsuki, the version that once fought for peace, not power. Orochimaru. Before Pain's reign, Orochimaru had already joined the organization. Once one of Konoha's legendary Sannin, he was a man driven by obsession, the desire to learn every jutsu, to master life and death itself. To him, mortality was the ultimate weakness. Humanity's limits disgusted him. Using forbidden experiments, he transferred his soul between bodies to live forever. But even within the Akatsuki, Orochimaru's ambitions were too twisted, too dangerous. When he tried to use Itachi Uchiha as his next vessel, he was defeated and forced to flee. Orochimaru represents one of the Akatsuki's central themes, the pursuit of knowledge without morality, and the price of power without purpose. Deidara. Art is an explosion. The words that define Deidara, a rogue ninja from the Hidden Stone. He used clay infused with chakra to create living sculptures, birds, spiders, dragons, all capable of massive explosions. To Deidara, true art was fleeting. It existed only for a moment before vanishing into nothingness. Every explosion was beautiful because it could never be repeated. He clashed with Gaara of the Sand, captured the One Tail, and later faced Sasuke Uchiha, determined to prove that his art was superior to any Sharingan illusion. In the end, he chose to die on his own terms, turning his own body into a final explosion, dying as both artist and artwork. Sasori of the Red Sand was once a genius puppet master from Sunagekure. Orphaned as a child, he created puppets of his deceased parents to ease his loneliness, but they could never love him back. As he grew, his obsession deepened. He transformed his own body into a puppet, replacing flesh with wood, blood with poison. He believed that if he became art itself, eternal, unchanging, he would finally escape the pain of being human. But in his final moments, defeated by Sakura and his grandmother Chiyo, Sasori showed a spark of emotion again, proving that a heart, no matter how cold, never truly disappears. Itachi Uchiha. Among all the Akatsuki, none are more misunderstood than Itachi Uchiha. Labeled a traitor and murderer, Itachi bore a secret so heavy it consumed his life. Ordered by Konoha's leaders, he massacred his own clan to prevent a coup that would have plunged the world into another war. He spared only his younger brother, Sasuke, and lived as a criminal so that his brother could one day be a hero. Itachi's calm, stoic nature hid unbearable suffering. He endured sickness, loneliness, and hatred, all to protect the very village that despised him. And in his final battle, he smiled, dying by Sasuke's hand, free at last from the lies that defined his existence. He remains one of anime's most tragic heroes, a man who gave everything for peace and received nothing in return. Kisame Hoshigaki, known as the Monster of the Hidden Mist, was Itachi's partner and one of the most powerful members of the Akatsuki. Wielding the chakra-eating sword Samahata, he could fight entire armies alone. But beneath his monstrous appearance was a man who valued loyalty and truth. Kisame despised the hypocrisy of the world, the lies, the masks people wore to hide their ugliness. In his final moments, surrounded and cornered, he chose to take his own life rather than betray his comrades. His final act was not of evil, but of pride. Kisame died smiling, a true shinobi to the end. Yahiko. Before pain, before the darkness, there was Yahiko, the true founder of the Akatsuki. Born amid endless war in the Hidden Rain village, Yahiko was just a boy who dreamed of peace. Together with his friends Nagato and Konan, he was trained by Jiraiya, who taught them the meaning of hope and strength. Yahiko's vision was simple yet powerful, to end the suffering of the world through unity, not violence. And under his leadership, the first Akatsuki was born, not as an organization of criminals, but as a movement of peace. But the world is cruel to those who dream. Betrayed by Hanzo of the Salamander, Yahiko was forced into an impossible choice. Surrounded by enemies and desperate to protect his friends, he took his own life, impaling himself on Nagato's kunai. That moment shattered everything. From Yahiko's death, pain was born. And the Akatsuki, once a symbol of peace, became a shadow of vengeance. Yahiko's dream died in the rain, but his ideals continued to echo in every storm that followed. Haydn was a fanatic of the cult of Jashin, a twisted religion that glorified pain, sacrifice, and death. Through forbidden rituals, he gained immortality, cursed to live forever, yet enslaved by his god. He reveled in the suffering of others, believing every death was a sacred offering. In battle, his opponent's pain became his own, linking him to their agony until one of them fell. But Haydn's arrogance led him to his downfall. Defeated by Shikamaru Nara, he was buried alive in the forest, screaming, cursing, and left to rot for eternity. Haydn's story is the embodiment of blind faith, devotion without reason, belief without mercy. Kakuzu, a shinobi from the hidden waterfall village, Kakuzu once served his village with pride. But after being betrayed and punished for failure, his loyalty turned to hatred. He slaughtered his superiors, tore out their hearts, and discovered a forbidden technique that allowed him to sew new hearts into his body. With each stolen heart, he extended his life, living for centuries as a bounty hunter obsessed with wealth. To Kakuzu, human life was nothing more than currency. He saw the world not through ideals, but through the cold eyes of profit. 5 hearts, endless greed, and no humanity left inside. Kakuzu represents corruption in its purest form, the death of empathy in pursuit of survival. Zetsu. Among the Akatsuki, none were as mysterious as Zetsu, half black, half white, 2 beings sharing one body. White Zetsu was the result of Madara and Obito's experiments, a creature of mimicry and stealth. But Black Zetsu was something far older, far more dangerous. He was the physical manifestation of Kagaya Otsutsuki's will, a shadow born from the dawn of chakra itself. For centuries, he manipulated history, twisting events to ensure the return of his mother. He deceived Madara, used Obito, and turned the Akatsuki into pawns in a plan that spanned millennia. In the end, Zetsu revealed the truth. The Akatsuki was never truly their own creation. They were simply pieces on a board, moved by a hand no one could see. Toby, the man behind the mask. And then came Toby. At first, he seemed like a fool, a clumsy, goofy member who didn't take anything seriously. But behind that mask was Obito Uchiha, a man who once dreamed of becoming Hokage. After losing the girl he loved, Rin, and being manipulated by Madara, Obito's heart was consumed by grief. He believed the world itself was broken, that peace could only exist in dreams. Thus began the plan for the infinite Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu that would trap the entire world in an illusion of happiness. But when he faced Naruto, he was reminded of his old self, the boy who once believed in hope. In his last act of redemption, Obito gave his life to protect his friends, proving that even the darkest souls can find their way back to the light. Each member of the Akatsuki represented a fragment of humanity. Pain, loss, obsession, ambition, and the desperate search for meaning. They were not monsters born from evil, but from tragedy. People who dreamed of saving the world, yet became the very thing they sought to destroy. The red clouds on their cloaks symbolized the rain of blood that fell upon their homeland, a reminder that peace always comes at a price. And perhaps that's why the Akatsuki remains unforgettable. 'Cause deep down they were not villains. They were broken humans, each trying, in their own way, to escape the pain of existence. So, if you enjoyed this story, leave a like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, which Akatsuki member is your favorite? Until next time. Remember, sometimes the line between hero and villain is thinner than a thread of chakra.